Welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and today um, I haven't decided if I'm going to split this up into multiple videos. Maybe I'll do that if I just get a little bit long in the tooth here. But it's been a very long time since I've posted a video. I've been super busy. I was sick. I went on vacation and came back sick. um, and that's really been kind of that was the start of me really having issues making videos. There have been a couple times where I've tried and just couldn't get my thoughts wrapped around certain things because it's just been so busy that my brain is elsewhere. Um, again, father of three, married, mortgage, giant full-time job. I'm a service desk manager, so everything, right? All the things, all the time, uh, and I'm very ADD. So, as I feel like most people I know of are, I have a seizure disorder. I take medication like it's a whole thing. Okay, so there's a lot that goes on with me in this household, and it's a lot. So when I get a chance to make a video, I'll sometimes make one. I get like my 30 minutes where I get to make one, kind of look at it, and then just fling it up there. And sometimes I make it and I'm like, cool, I got to fling it up there and I watch a little bit of it and I'm like, not great. And then I have to redo it. But then the next time I get to redo it is maybe 7 days later. So that's been kind of my challenge. So we're going to try to get in there with some videos and see what we can do. I'm a little bit stopped up today. Allergies kind of kicking in. But we'll we'll endure. We'll try to get this out because if uh, if I want to talk about hardware and components and stuff, I really got to get a video out there because I don't really get to talk to my friends that much. I'm so busy. So this is sort of a communication way of I get to nerd out a little bit with everybody. All right. So what do we got on the menu today? Today, what we have is we're going to do, I think, just a rundown of things. We're going to start with CPUs. So the 9000 series from AMD is launched. Very mixed, I would say. A lot of people were very skeptical of like the 9700X because the power limit was so low that it actually suffered, and you had to overclock it to really get all the performance out of it that you could garner. AMD is about to fix that, I think, if they haven't already. They're going to release some microcode that will increase that to 105 watts from 65. Big change. It does improve performance a bit. Uh, so I think that's good. It just sucks. Like I wish they would have done a better job of launching. Maybe hold it up and launch when it's ready. The 7000 series is a good series of chips. I don't know why they felt compelled to rush a 9000 series out the door. I know they wanted to beat Arrow Lake, I think, to market, which is what we're about to talk about. Um, but I don't think it's worth beating Arrow Lake to market and getting the negative press. Honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why they would do that. Nailing the landing is so important to get those initial looks out there that are very positive, because it's really hard to come back from that. What I often say, and what I think that people from these companies need to understand is, while yes, you know, ultimately people are going to buy what people buy, right? But when it comes to purchasing these high end parts or the really good, like enthusiast parts for home use, for gaming, for whatever, people come to people like me and go, hey, what's good, right? And if I read out there something sucks, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant to just run out and recommend it. And that's one of the reasons why I made a channel and I started just posting a video now and then, is because that sort of gets my advice out there. Sometimes people will go and watch my video. I don't have a lot. I have like 87 subscribers, woo, or something low, but it's all right. But I'll post a video someone might watch this video and go, hey, cool, I like that, I'll go buy that. Or they'll say, we don't. Well, I don't have enough money to go buy everything and test it. I'm not backed by anybody. Asus isn't going to send me samples of their motherboards. Intel's not going to send me CPUs and stuff like that anytime soon. So get that out of the way. So, I go by a multitude of sources that I get information from, read things about, and I look for any reason why something might give somebody problems. That's the number one thing. Reliability trumps everything else. So when it comes to that, if I think something is going to have a problem or unstable, I'm going to tell someone, hey, be careful of XYZ, right? And that's going to deter them probably from buying that product. So AMD, Intel, Nvidia, like all you guys, that's a deal. Reliability is number one. Nail the reliability. Have a good launch. Don't have problematic drivers, and then think that that's just okay. I know that we live in this world where it's like launch it and then fix it, but we need to like back off of that a little bit and have something that's actually ready to go. This is not the same as a video game. Um, this is actual hardware that people pay money for, big money, and they want it to last 5 to 10 years usually, give or take. And yeah, we expect a certain amount of quality when stuff gets launched, especially when we're talking high end parts. So anyway, there's that. There's my rant for today. Uh, the 9700X needed a power increase. The 9950X and 9900X require game bar, and the whole setting up of what CCD to use when, which I find horribly, uh, that's just so frustrating, that they would do that for that part because it's not required. What they've done is they have, released it to where one CCD is a better yield than the other. So you're getting rid of not as great yields that way, and the performance is really good. Like even someone who doesn't like AMD parts has reviewed the 9950X and found out that if you tweak it, it's really good. The problem is you have to tweak it, and there's a lot of people out there who don't want to bother with that. Um, but I don't know. It's really weird. It's a little bit frustrating. So just kind of keep your eyes out there. 9700X I can recommend after the fixes, but not so much the. I don't know if I can. So I have a friend who I said go ahead and get the 9950X, but he'll be able to figure it out. That's why I said yeah, like you can get that. It's a monster CPU. It'll do well for you for years. Uh, and you want the latest and greatest because you want your machine to last a while. So go ahead. Um, that's fine because I know that he'll figure it out. I believe I warned him already about like, hey, just be aware. You may have to tweak the game bar and do some things with it. But that's even if you care. Like, you may not even be that concerned because the performance even on the other core is going to be pretty beefy, honestly. But you're not getting the max amount out of the thing that you paid for uh, if you did that technically. It's really weird. I wish they hadn't done that with those chips, but kind of the same thing with like your 7950X and your 7900X 3D, the 3D Vcache parts, sort of the same idea as those. And these are not even Vcache parts. So that's a little bit frustrating to me, but we'll see. Um, so moving on to Intel, they're getting ready to release Arrow Lake. Okay. Now we're going to get some clock speed regression. Okay, 5.7 gigahertz boost is not the 6 gigahertz on Raptor Lake. 8 plus 16 cores, 250 watt power max. Uh-oh. So it's going to be eating the juice potentially. Uh, the lower version, the 265K, is going to be an 812 core 5.5 gigahertz, 245, 6 plus 8 core at 5.2 gigahertz. Okay, so basically i9, i7, i5, right? But now it's Ultra 9, Ultra 5, Ultra 7. Somebody shoot me for these names. I'm just getting, I don't know why I'm getting so tired of the model names, but I am. Yeah, so here's the specs out here. The big thing that I'm noting is 250 watts max turbo power. A little bit, eh, not great. That's a lot of power, so it makes me wonder. Um, the Ultra 7 is probably kind of where I would look, but who knows? We're gonna have to see if the Ultra 9 is, super good. These There's no hyperthreading, okay? So it's not 32 threads like the 14900K, it's 24 threads. Same core count, right? So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. Um, there's supposedly a big IPC increase in here for the P cores. Supposedly. We're gonna have to see what that's like. Like there's gonna need to be I'm not gonna say huge IPC increase, but there needs to be a noticeable outside of the margin of error, which I consider about 5% IPC increase. If this is going to have gaming performance increases, then that's what it's going to have to be. What's concerning to me is, especially in multi-core benchmarks, that going down in the core count could impact it. Maybe not. Maybe there's some whiz bang, technology in here that offsets that, but we'll have to see. Um, I I am pretty sure this is a different socket, so it's not going to be plugged into the uh, current boards that are out there. It's probably going to be like a Z890 situation. Um, yeah, they actually call that out here, so that's good. Z890. Um, so yeah, you're going to have different motherboards alongside these CPUs, so be aware of that. Uh, so it'll be interesting to see. Air Lake S is what the specs are, or what the name is. Um, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Intel's got a shot here. The 9000 series wasn't too crazy over top of the 7000 series. Thusly, it kind of just matches the 14900 series without any Vcache, which is good, that it stepped it up a bit. Now we'll have to see what this does. And keep in mind, AMD's got their Vcache versions of the 9000 series on the way, and we're hearing those ought to be a lot more tweakable, they ought to be better. So for gaming, this this Intel setup has got its work cut out for it. It really does. So we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully, I'm actually hoping it's really good. I hope there's like a 20% IPC uplift. I do. I really do, guys. Like, I know people are like, Intel stuff, but like this needs to really slam it home. Like, this needs to be good. If it is good and it's very competitive with the 9000 series X3D chips in gaming, we'll have a price war on our hands. Okay, that's what we want. I hope that for the Intel folks and the AMD folks. I mean, I would even buy an Intel chip for sure if it was just the best thing out there. I would totally buy it. Right? I have no I have no loyalty to AMD. I do like I love AMD. You're great, but it's not a. I'm going to buy what I think serves my needs best, what I want to play with best or most. I I don't I don't care because the moment that I start caring and get brand loyalty, those brands, especially in this industry, will smite me for you know being a fanboy. So I'm not a fanboy. They've trained me well to not be a fanboy. So I don't care. I want this to rock. I do. 30% IPC increase. Go. Like do it. I dare you. Um, make it the best gaming chip. Make it the best work chip. Whatever. Like great, awesome. Make AMD come back and beat you. Um, That would be just fine with me. And then if it was that much better, I might even entertain getting one myself. Even though I've got a 7800 XRD, why not? Um, I bring it on. Let's go. But I doubt it. I really do. I think this is probably like a 15 to a 20%, 15% maybe would be my guess over Raptor Lake. It's going to probably just barely edge out the 9000 series, I'm guessing, which is going to place them directly in the line of fire for the XRD chips. That's my guess. We'll see what happens. That's totally guesstimation. Um, but it may be really tweakable. We'll have to see. So here's hoping. We'll see what happens. I can tell you this is a pretty sizable clock speed regression from Raptor Lake with pretty close to the same power, which is concerning. That's what concerns me is this power is close, but the clocks are less. So, if IPC is way up, then it'll be fine. But if IPC is not very much up, then it's going to be a problem. So, there you go. Next up, AMD video cards. Let's talk about video cards. NVIDIA just wants way too damn much money. If I could summarize this, basically, so here's what you have to understand. Navi 41 and 4C, I don't know what 4C is, but Navi 41 and 42. Okay, so the top end Navi 4th gen parts, so RDNA 4, okay? They were canceled. They were canceled because AMD realized that they were problematic, like they were having issues. They were a chiplet design. They're trying to bring chiplets to GPUs, which I think is a good idea if they could figure that out. But it was having problems, okay? So they looked at the market. They said, what do people actually want? What people want is to be able to afford a freaking video card. That's what people want. They want to be able to actually buy an upgrade for not $1,000 is what a lot of people want. Me specifically, and I think the people who I talk with, like everybody I talk to goes, yeah, I mean, even the people who buy $1,000 video card is like, this is ridiculous. And then don't get me started on the 4090, like $1,600. Are you kidding me? My entire budget for most PCs is that much, not just a video card. So it's ridiculous. It is so far out of bounds. I have a 1440p monitor that runs at like 165 hertz, I think. I don't need that. I don't want to pay $1,000 for a video card. My 3080 that I paid $800 for was a massive spend. Massive. So, this is ridiculous. Well, AMD has some pretty strong mid-range options today, and they're going to make some stronger mid-range options with RDNA 4, supposedly, but they're not going to have the top-end option because they were having problems with that top-end option, so they canceled it. RDNA 5 looks promising. So as rumor mill goes, they took that team and they deployed them to work on RDNA 5 with the team that was already working on RDNA 5 to bring that to market as soon as possible. Okay, so that means the 8000 series is going to be like an 8800 XTX or an 8800 XT, not an 8900. There won't be that top end model. And this guy's like going, our focus has changed, all that stuff. Okay, what he's saying is, all right, this generation we're not going to compete with NVIDIA because it's pointless, because what we had was either not going to work or it wasn't going to be good enough. That's it. That's all we're getting out of this article. You can come read it. It's videocards.com. And he's talking about this stuff. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Like they're going to release the mid-range stuff because mid-range RDNA 4 seems to be pretty strong. Rumor mill has 4080 like performance at half the price. Great, awesome. $499, $599 for a 4080. I would be interested in that. That's probably a decent upgrade on my 3080, and I didn't spend as much. The key thing there is they're saying great ray tracing performance. They're saying it might actually trade blows the 4080 or even beat a 4080 in ray tracing. If they do that, that will be great. That will actually bring ray tracing into the mainstream. That's been the problem with ray tracing. Why would I run ray tracing and give up a bunch of performance for a slight better presentation maybe in some games not. I don't know. My eyes suck. I can't tell. So um, if you're delivering that kind of performance for that in the mid range, more people will try it. It can become normalized if it's good. So that's what I take away. He's talking about TI tried the King's Hill strategy, going all the way back to ATI. Dude, go away. Like you guys tried to be King of the Hill, you failed. I don't want to hear it. I just, whatever. I kind of, this article, I don't know, it just sort of, it's a bunch of marketing jargon and BS, attempt to sway away from the fact that AMD's just not been competitive on the super high end recently. Um, they, you know, they, they can be. That's what's so frustrating. Their hardware is good. It's been good. They had some really solid ideas. The the 6950 was solid. That was a really, I think the 6000 series were a really good series of GPUs. There were a lot of people excited about the 7000 series. The 7000 series of GPUs came out. They did not perform as well as AMD wanted. They had some problems, mainly with clock speeds. Um, the 7900 XTX was supposed to clock to 3 gigahertz, and it will clock to 3 gigahertz. That's what's funny. But you need 700 watts to get it there. That was the thing they didn't want to do. Uh, they didn't want to throw that much power at that GPU out of the factory. So what you got was 2500, 2600. In order to get up to that, we're going to soundly destroy the 4080 territory in raster. Um, they needed that extra 400 megahertz, right, to get it there. They really did, and they couldn't. They couldn't without the power just running away. That was the problem with the 7000 series. You can do it yourself if you buy a Sapphire 7900 XTX, for example. Um, you can tweak it, and you can probably get to 3 gigahertz, 2900 gigahertz, and when you do, it soundly beats the 4080. And in some raster situations, it will get close to the 4090. It does not do nearly as well in ray tracing. It doesn't, and so that's what the 8000 series was going to fix. Was starting with that ray tracing performance, but then they were really having problems with the chiplet design of the top end chip, as I understand it. So they canceled it, and I don't understand why they just don't say that and say, "Hey, look, we're going to do this because we think this is better for the business at this time," and move on about your day. Like they have to have this whole, well, we're moving our strategy around to do something else. It's like, no, you don't. Like you're, you knew it would suck, so you're not going to put it out. I don't see a problem with that. Like that's fine. Awesome. Let's try to get RDNA 5 out, can we? So that Nvidia is just not out there charging $2,000 for a video card with no competition. You guys could get a section of that market. You should. Um, I People totally underestimate AMD. I think if AMD released a badass video card that was $1,000 to $1,500, which they did, they released the 700 XTX, and I don't even think it was especially overwhelmingly great, but people bought it. People did buy it because they were not going to buy a 4090 for that price, and the 4080 in some ways is pretty underwhelming for raster performance. I don't think people can. As a normal person with really shitty eyes, I can't tell the difference between ray trace and raster. I really can't. Maybe if I maybe I just don't have the right games. I don't know, but I really it's weird. So you can come read the article, but this is just whatever. I think a $499 4080 over the course of this next year would absolutely kill. I think it would be great. And then if you can up performance even more, by releasing RDNA 5 as soon as you get it. If it's towards the end of next year, I think that would be swell. I think you'd be good to do that because NVIDIA is going to charge too much. They're going to piss everybody off like they normally do. And I think you could be actually, I think you could actually make noise if you did this, right? Say, screw the top end. NVIDIA is charging you guys too much. We're going to come in and undercut them massively for their mid-range parts to get you guys some GPUs that offer some new features and complementary performance. Great. Do it. I don't need to hear about how you're refocusing and all that stuff. If you could compete on the high end, you would. So let's just cut through that. Anyway, there's my rant on video cards. I would look for RDNA 4 soon-ish, maybe towards the end of the year. Um, that's what rumor mill says. Maybe early next year. If some of the other rumors are true, we'll see. Okay, let's talk about cases. Woo! Cases. Okay, real quick. This video is getting long already, but we'll try to knock this out. Okay, NZXT. So NZXT has released two new cases that I find kind of interesting. One is the H7 flow and the H5 flow. Okay, now the H5 flow, I think, is a worthy name and successor for the original H5 flow that's been out there for a little bit. But the H7 flow, they've really made enough changes. I think they should have called this like the H8 or something. I don't know. So the H7 flow, if you look at the H7 flow previous to 2024 recently, it's got the normal basement, right, that you put your power supply under. Very typical standard case layout, right? Nothing crazy to see there. But the new H7 flow did something kind of interesting. They took the power supply. Let's see if I can find a picture of one. Okay. They took the power supply and they flipped it. Okay. So they turned it on its side. Wonder if they've got like a picture somewhere here I can just go to. Okay, well that's kind of a deal. So instead of having a basement here, the basement is on its side on the motherboard tray side, basically where it's out of the way. Okay, and then on the bottom, they've placed three 120 mil fan mounts recessed into the bottom. They've kind of got some legs here that allow enough airflow to get through these fans. And it causes this thing to be really slick, I think. I think this is awesome. So there's some reviews of it. The temps are good, as you might imagine. But what this does is it opens up the motherboard side of the case, the component side, and it allows for some interesting configurations. It's not overly sized. It's big, like it's a bigger case. I think it's 544 millimeters tall by like 468 millimeters long, wide or deep, something like that. But you can get big video cards in. The 4090 Strix, will fit in here, ROG. But you can fit 360 mil rad in the top. You could fit a 420 mil rad in the front. So the 420 mil AIOs, like say any of your 420 mil AIOs, like I was trying to think of one particular. I'm like, well, a number of them are offered now, some, but they will fit in the front. So you can actually get a 420 in there because you can fit three 140 mil fans in the front. You can fit three 120 mil fans in the roof. You can fit a, if you're going custom water cooling, so if you're doing it yourself, right, with your own pump and res and stuff, 360 in the base, 420 in the front, 360 in the roof. I mean, you could go crazy, right, with radiators if you wanted to. What I think is great is because of the way they've oriented the power supply. Maybe this will show. That's original. Yeah, it's the original. Come on now. Somebody's got a picture out here. We know this, right? Dadgummit. Why would you not have a picture of this? Uh, hello? Running out of scrolling. Come on. Somebody's got it. Well, it's a good shot of the basement. Anyway, but you can see here it opens up the bottom to pull air in the bottom as well as through the front. And it's recessed. I think it looks nice. I love the recessed look. I like the fans looking kind of flush is awesome. Well, daggone. Oh, here we go. Ha, here we go. Okay, cool. So you see, basically, this is where the power supply would mount, and it would mount with the fan out. Um, and thusly, that gets you that extra space in the base where you can mount those fans. You could put a 360 mil radiator in the bottom. It gives you a lot of room for activities. That's what it does. You could put you could put decorations in there, whatever. But it does open up the airflow around the GPU. The GPU is not getting any interference at all from like this situation with the PSU shroud, because that's totally out of the way because it's been flipped, right? Here's a really good shot. So yeah, you can see here how that works. And then I wonder if they've got a. So here's one that's been done up, in the back. Wonder if. So yeah, here's one with a vertical mount, which you could still do, right? So yeah, I think it's pretty slick, right? This is definitely new. I think they maybe. Oh, here's a good shot of the recessed fan mounts, right? So I really do think they should have maybe made this totally different, like a different model almost, called it like the H8 or something, because it's really a different kind of case. That just moving that power supply out of the way has completely changed how this case works. I think. Yeah, anyway, if someone is looking for a case, they're not afraid for it to be a little bit bigger. Uh, they want a mesh front. They want like a lot of airflow. I don't know that this has the most airflow, uh, but if you want a case that has a lot of airflow, it has plenty of room around your GPU area. Maybe you want some area for some extracurricular activities by putting your Funko Pops or whatever, in the base of the case. You can totally get away with that. Um, any of those kind of things. I think this is a great option. Um, Plenty of room. But it's not overly big. You have to be a little bit cautious. You can see here like this. There's GPUs that are way bigger than the factory 4090 as far as length. And length is something you have to pay attention to because if you were to put a radiator on the front of 420, that could impede, right? So you could have problems there. But other than that, it's not overly big, but it is tall. It's got this layout I love. I think they did a great job with that. Really, NZXT, this may be one of the best cases you've ever made. Like it really may be. The H6 was good. The new H5, which I'll show you, has some quirks, but it's also good. This is great. Like this is enthusiast level, awesomeness. I would actually buy this over. I would probably buy this over a lot of the dual chamber cases out there simply because it does have the rail system in the front. you can fit three 140s in the front. And if you get really strong 140s, I would say this could be really interesting. You know, this could be really interesting for you. You could probably use the base for something entirely different. You know, like you don't have to put fans down there if you want to mess around with that space. But I don't know. Very simplistic, very cool. I think in NZXT you've hit a home run with this. Uh, I like it. So good job. Now let's look at the H5 flow, which I think is another case that NZXT has done a good job with. Not quite as good though. I think they've made some mistakes on this one. But if I was going to get a case strictly for air cooling, this would be on a list to consider. And I don't know. So the old one, as you can see, had two 140s in the front and then a 120 in the bottom, where it could support two 140s in the front. I don't know if it came with one. It had this weird, like, they called it the, there's all sorts of unfortunate names for this thing. This front fan that was like down in a, see if I can show you guys. Yeah, this down here, right? People called this like the toilet bowl. They called it all sorts of stuff. Like, why would you put a fan like this? This is weird. It didn't really help things as much as one might suspect it would, possibly. So they got rid of this and they went to a more conventional design with three 120s in the front and then, you know, your associated deals. Now, technically, it will fit a 360 in the top, but you wouldn't want to do that. It's cut off a bit. Really kind of an odd sort of choice. They're trying to keep the size of this one down to keep it like a small mid tower, um, which I get, but it's kind of weird. So let me see if I can find a good picture of it. That's not bad. Okay. Oh, man, it's so small. I wish I could, or if I can just, it's a video. Let's see. No, it's an old one. I make really unfortunate videos this way sometimes. Okay, so here's what they did. They ventilated this side and made it to where it stands up away from the PSU pretty good. So that way you have a nice area down here to take in air if you put fans in this PSU shroud and put it up towards the video card. That's not too shabby. That's okay. Where I have got an issue with this case is if you do this, these fans inevitably are going to compete with uh, the fan on top of the PSU. The PSU is actually mounted to where the fan is facing up. There is no hole in the bottom. If they just put a hole in the bottom, like most cases, and you flipped it over, put your PSU in where it draws from the bottom, then I think it would have been fine. This is just weird because it's going to pull air through there. Now, if your fan is just powering the system on passive mode, this probably actually works out all right. It's probably going to pull air through the back of the PSU out the top, which may actually cool the PSU. It may not be so bad. But if the PSU fan kicks on, it is going to potentially compete with air with these fans. So it's kind of weird. Other thing I see is I don't know why right here, if you look, you see there's some extra ventilation. I don't know why that's there. You can't move this 40. I don't know, it's weird. The reviews and stuff I've seen, if you go check out OC3D, he reviewed this case. It's kind of a weird situation with this. I don't know why it's like that. It's really strange. So a couple of oddities with this case. It also, you can't get thick radiators in the top for sure. It would be a struggle. I would recommend this case for air cooling, is what I would say. I would say get you a good air cooler and go with it. Or the other option is maybe put a 360 in the front, but be aware, length of your GPU at that point is going to really matter. You can get a 240 AIO up in the top, but it's going to be very, very tight. 280, I don't know if I'd go with a 280 at all. It's just going to be really tight, especially one that's got any thickness to the radiator at all. Probably not good. The Arctic 3 freezers, just I wouldn't in this case. Um, but yeah, other than that, good case. Like well thought out design. Airflow should be good. I think it does have the rail system in the front, where you can take the rail out, mount it to the fans, and mount the fans in the front, which is I want every case to be like that now. I don't know why it wouldn't. Let me see. I wonder if I just type in 2024 if that will help with our images. Hey, maybe it does a little bit. Let me see. Does it have the? Oh no, they're just fixed because basically it's all. Uh, well, let me see. What's going on here? Why isn't this? Okay, it's a better picture sort of from NZXT. Okay, if you look like it's not the rail system, I apologize, but the cutouts are completely away from the fan blade, so there's uh, unobstructed air, which is good. Like you want the ends of those blades to be as unobstructed as possible. That causes turbulence, can make noise a little bit louder, and decreases airflow a little bit. So that's all right. I'm totally fine with that. If I mean, would I like to put 140s up here? Maybe. Uh, Three 120s are fine. Really. Guys, that's about it for the video. Oh, wait, one more thing. I was going to compare that to this, right? So you have this for the H5 flow. Same thing for, like, say, the GT302 Asus Tough Gaming. Same idea, right? It's just a flat panel. You mount your fans, but they carve it out to where all the obstruction is out of the way. I think that's really important. I think we're going to see that more on cases, at least I hope so. And that's why I like the rail system on the H7 flow, is because it does something very similar. But you can mount whatever fans you want to it because the rail system actually comes off the case. You mount that to your fans, and then you bolt your fans up to the case, which is great. These are 140s actually, which is kind of crazy. This is an interesting case, but it's very expensive. So here's the deal, right? 149 for this. Now it does come with 4 fans. There are 4 140 millimeter fans, right? Or this for 99 bucks. And that's outside of Lee and Lee. If I go to Lee and Lee, then we'll just buy Lee and Lee. Because some of the stuff they've just already done, and they're so good. But I do like the new H7. I do think this is innovative. This is probably the best case out of these. And this is 129, but you will have to go get your own fans. It does come with some fans, but if you buy the RGB fan version, it only comes with 3 120s. They're in like that one deal, which you could put in the base if you buy some fans. But it would be 149 with RGB fans. So I don't know. Cases are getting more expensive. Everything's getting more expensive. We'll see. Well, guys, I've rambled on for like 45 minutes almost. Like and subscribe if you would. Please, be patient with me. Obviously, life is crazy. You're going to get a lot of rambling from me in this video. I'll try to concise it up. I always try to do better at that. But there was just a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. There's so much more even to talk about. And it's just a matter of if I get time to talk about it is the question. So I really appreciate you if you've made it to this part of the video. My gosh, that's incredible. You should go give yourself some sort of in-life achievement because that's amazing. And I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic Sunday, and everybody, we'll see you in the next one.